How you doing today, Glenn?
I'm really well. How be yourself?
I can't complain. I'm excited to talk to you. I'm a big fan of yours, so this is a pretty cool opportunity.
Oh, thank you, man.
Absolutely. So let's start with the easiest question of all. Tell us a little bit about the film and your role in it for people who are not familiar with it yet.
The film is called Flutter. It is a story of an unswerving and unconditional love between a young mother who, although she's not a single mom, she's certainly living life as a single mom because her husband is a deadbeat husband and father who's on the road as a wannabe musician and not really creating any favorable results. And that young man happens to be my son in the movie, and it's played by Jesse Plemons, the character. Jesse also played my son in Friday Night Lights, and because they needed 3 generations of redheaded Texans, they started with the young boy who was 9 years old, Jonathan Huff Jr., and when they cast him, they reached out to me to play the grandfather because I'm a native Texan, and I had worked with these producers on 3 other occasions. So when they reached out to me, they wanted to have me do the film 6 months down the road, and I was not going to be available at that time because I'm fortunate enough to work often, and I was already booked to do a series. And I said, is there any chance we could do it sooner than that, assuming the problem might be money, which it was because it's an indie film. And They said, we just won't have the money until October. Well, long story short, we decided to fund the film. And that way we could do it on our own terms and start immediately. And it's just this beautiful story about a young mother's dedication, her absolute nth degree dedication to her kid who is dealing with glaucoma and nystagmus and is going blind, and she uses medicinal marijuana to treat the child.
Right. I really loved your character in the film. I thought it was nice to see you out of uniform for a change. Was the chance to play a more emotional character what it was that attracted you to the role in the first place?
That's the very thing that attracted me to it. I mean, I also enjoyed working with these guys, but when I heard that I was not going to need to arrest somebody or boss any troop around, that had tremendous appeal to me.
Makes sense.
And I fought for a nude scene and wasn't able to achieve that.
They wouldn't go for it, huh? Maybe
no, because nobody wants to see a guy in his mid-50s that's hopelessly pale. Naked, so
You never know. I thought that your character was actually the most sympathetic character in that film, full of people making bad decisions or questionable decisions, I should say. Was that inherent in the script, or was that you bringing your interpretation of the character to the role?
No, I think most of it I might have added a layer or two, but for the most part, that's the way the script indicated the relationship was. But once you put 2 actors in front of a camera, their chemistry really dictates the rest. And Lindsay Pulsipher was so tremendous in this film. In fact, to me, she's the driving force behind the expected success of the film. I expect that we will do well, and it is in large part to Lindsay's contribution. No matter what celebrity we could have gotten, the biggest A-list celebrity, they might have been better known, but there is no way they would have done a better job than Lindsay did.
Absolutely, she's phenomenal in the film. And actually, what I loved the most about the film were all of the scenes that the 2 of you guys shared together. I thought those were the most touching scenes, but also I felt like kind of the heart of the movie. And so, I was curious. I mean, did you guys develop sort of a similar relationship on set as you have in the film, kind of a father-daughter relationship or a surrogate father-daughter?
Well, more friends, but in terms of the energy, I do have children that are Lindsay's age, so there's enough of an age spread for her to actually be my daughter or certainly daughter-in-law. But the relationship was one of just tenderness and caring and genuineness. And, I've always been such a fan, and I could live to be 150 and would never understand why certain actors make no effort to connect with their on-screen partners, because any relationship that is rooted in a reservoir of respect for one another is it's a favorite to look better on screen when you have respectful energy between the two of you. And Lindsay and I got along fabulously.
Right. And well, it clearly shows. So I think
anyone who will don shorts and run down to Texas and stand in mosquito country for 24 days, that's my kind of gal.
Right. And then there's Jesse Plemons. You mentioned, obviously he played your son on Friday Night Lights. He plays your son here, but you guys never actually are on screen at the same time. So is that just like the shortest reunion ever?
There was no reunion until the screening. That's when I finally saw Jesse.
Right.
Because Jesse was not able to do it during the run of the movie. During those 24 days, he was not available at that time, and I said, dude, I will hold the role for you. If we can get you, we'll set aside a separate filming day just to get your stuff in the film, and that's what we did, and I was not down there at the time. So I didn't get a chance to see Jesse until we shot the movie. Until we screened the movie. Right.
Wow. Now, you obviously also served as a producer on the film, which seems like a newer role for you. So how did you get involved with the film in the first place, and what made you decide to jump on board as a producer as opposed to just acting in it?
Well, because if it had just been acting, the time they wanted to do it, I would have had to have declared myself ineligible because I was doing the series Dallas at the time. And when they said we wouldn't have money in the bank until September to start shooting in October, I said, so what's your pre-production time? And they said 3 weeks, right at. And I said, so in a perfect world, if the money were in an Austin bank tomorrow, could we start in 3 weeks? And they said, yeah, in a perfect world, but the reality is we don't. And I said, well, if you're ready to go, then the money will be in a bank tomorrow. And that is how the film got underway, is my wife and I decided to go ahead and cowboy up because we had been sent the script, which we read and loved. And we also had been sent a little 5-minute sizzle reel that served as a screen test for Jonathan, because Jonathan is not even an actor. Jonathan is this kid who suffers from nystagmus in real life and happens to be the director's nephew. But his qualification was that the story was about his actual life, and he was a redhead, and as long as he could pull it off, we were going to take that gamble. And then when they sent us the screen test, we fell in love with the kid.
Right.
So that's how that came to be. And I'd produced one other film before, but not executive produced. We had no money tied to it. But in this case, along with our friend John Holt Hall, the three of us funded the movie. And we're glad we did, because we wound up with a great finished product.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of your wife, I love the scene in the film where you tell Jolene about the medals in the garage and all that. And I was watching an interview with you, and you started talking about your partnership with your wife, and I was blown away by the clear affection that you have for her. And it sounds like you guys are partners in business as well as in life. And I was just curious, how that all works, because I was so impressed with how you spoke about your wife and your marriage.
Well, first of all, congrats on even bringing that up, because I have done so many interviews over the years, especially back in 24 days when we would cross-pollinate with American Idol and do media days where all you did was talk with one radio station or one website after the next all day long.
Right.
And no one has ever asked me this unique question. Well, Carolyn and I have only worked together in business this one time because she retired from her regular job 3 years ago and was free to do something. And she said, you're getting busier all the time. I don't want you to hire a personal assistant when I could be doing that. So she moved into that capacity and then was not working and decided I would love to try my hat at producing. And we have been married. Carolyn was my high school sweetheart. So we have been together since we were 17 and 16. And look, bottom line, let me bottom line this. If a gal is willing to say I do to a guy who back in 1977 and 78 when we married was driving a 1974 bright cherry red Vega, that, my friend, is a keeper. A gal who will marry someone driving a Vega is not a gal you want to part with.
That's good life advice, I think.
So it wasn't it wasn't about the money. It was actually about pure love. And we had our children very early on. I think a year and a half after we married, our first one was born, and a year and 4 months, something like that. And so we just wouldn't trade each other in for anything in the world. We're like a pair of great fitting leather shoes. And the new ones sometimes look nicer, but they're not.
Right.
And long-term couples really do recognize that. You know.
I think so. Well, I was inspired. I've been with my wife for 16 years, so it's always nice to hear other people talk about having happy relationships as well, because I feel like I'm in one as well. So that was nice to hear.
Yeah, well, congratulations. 16 is like a state record in California.
Yeah, we feel pretty good about it. Thank you.
Yeah, and December for us was 36 years, and we've been together for 38, but married 36.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that as well.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I know we're running short on time. I don't know my official timeline. I'll let Courtney cut me off when I run out of time.
2 minutes.
What's that?
You have 2 minutes.
2 minutes. All right, great. So you've been acting since the 70s, but it seems like, when you took the role as Aaron Pierce on 24, that was really what catapulted you to a new level of success. What was that experience like for you?
Well, I had done a TV series with Howard Gordon in Vancouver, British Columbia. It was on a short-lived ABC series called Strange World. So we had an existing relationship there, and when I walked into the room and Howard was there, we know what it's like to work with one another. I made it a point to walk in sounding like this, so all I did is go back to my Texas roots and whistled on that S, just put that little subtle whistle on him, and that was not indicated in the script, but it's the way I chose to speak. And they offered me the role, and at that time, the character was scheduled for 2 episodes only, not 2 seasons, 2 weeks. And they instantly responded favorably to the chemistry between President David Palmer and Aaron Pierce, and they said, you know what, we're not going to kill you. And 7 years later, I still had a job, which is impressive when you consider that this show, week to week, prided itself in the execution of series regulars.
Yes, it did.
Right? I mean, the standard way we would receive a script is to grab it and thumb through it each week going, do I die, do I die, do I die? I mean, it was incredible.
Right. And
so that was life-changing. You're absolutely right. It vaulted us into a whole new arena, and we've never looked back. I mean, everywhere my wife and I go in the world, not just here in this country, but everywhere we travel, we run into 24 fans galore, and the vast majority of them, they are not interested in a handshake. They want a hug.
Oh, yeah?
Male and female alike. And I think it's because they feel safe in Aaron's midst. And no one calls me Glenn. Even my wife, when we make love, every so often will shout out, Aaron, Aaron.
Oh, that's great.
Did that fall under the heading of too much information?
Yeah, maybe a little, but that's okay. And then finally, now you're also starring on Bloodlines, which also reunites you with another Friday Night Lights co-star with Kyle Chandler. What's been going on there? What's that experience like for you?
Well, I'm obviously elated. I think it is such a fine show. I've been blessed to not only work all the time, but I seem to accidentally wind up on these hits. West Wing for 3 years, CSI for a season, 24. I've done, I think this is my 9th series, and of the 9, 6 of them have been major hits, and I think we have another one, and it's such great news because yesterday, and Courtney, you don't know this, but yesterday after we left the office, the season 2 renewal came.
Yeah,
so we were celebrating. It was just a wonderful piece of news, and a great group of people to work with, the KZK production office, the Kessler brothers. I just couldn't be happier. And I mean, look, if you've got to go to location, how much better does it get than the Florida Keys?
Right, exactly.
And again, you mentioned the attraction of not having to wear a uniform or a badge with regard to Flutter. Well, the same applies here because I went to the polar opposite of Aaron Pierce, and I actually played the drug lord on the show. I am unshaven, and I wear shorts, which is astonishing because I have the whitest legs you've ever seen. And they call me Casper on set.
Oh, gee.
And the makeup women have to put makeup on my extremely hopelessly Caucasian skin every day. It's
Wow.
a great role, though, in a fabulous show, and I've never seen a better performance than Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah, he's fantastic, for sure.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Glenn, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I really appreciate it. It was awesome talking to you, and congratulations on all of your success. I look forward to seeing more from you as we go on.
Yeah, thank you much. We're thrilled about this renewal. Season 2 should be very exciting.
All right. Well, thank you, and you have a good one.
Thanks for the gift of your time.